Hello everyone, this is part 27 of the recent watches videos. I think it's been 13 days when I checked since I did the last one. So I've watched 11 films in that time. I have been off holiday on work, off work on holiday. I can tell my brain isn't that well rested. I thought I'd just have some days where I just sit around and watch films all day and get at least 3 done a day, but in the end I had to do things, to go out to the gym, meet some of my mates and stuff, so didn't have as much time to sit around watching films as I wanted. I've got a few 4Ks, few Blu-rays, few DVDs. I think some of these are first time watches, some are re-watches. Obviously I'll talk about them when I get to them. Before I start, I will just give a shout out to Heels on the Hunt. So it's quite a new YouTuber. I think he's on 78 subscribers. So anybody watching this, go over to his channel. I'll link him in the description. Get him up to 100 subs. But yeah, really nice guy. Seems like a sound guy. Good film knowledge, into a lot of horror and things, same as me. So obviously I do show other things, but anybody that's subscribed to me because they like horror, sci-fi, genre films in general, then yeah, go and check out Heels. Quite a funny style, really sort of eloquent, well-spoken when he's talking, doing his YouTube videos. His are quite concise, 20 or so minutes. They don't go on for 45-50 minutes like my ones. But I will get started, so I'll try and keep this one under 30 minutes, which will be a record for recent watches. The first one I watched, must have been about 13 days ago, was Caddyshack. So had seen this before years ago. Remember a few bits from it. I couldn't remember every bit of it. Obviously, this is a golfing comedy, so I'm pretty sure Happy Gilmore has taken quite a lot of inspiration out of this. Yeah, it says the snobs against the slobs. Is that Rodney Dangerfield? See if I can find there. Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield, probably the funniest person in it. The main bit I could remember from, I must have watched it 12 years ago was the last time, and the first time actually. Bit when he goes into the clubhouse and there's a hat hanging up to buy, and he's like, "Oh, that hat is awful. Who would buy that? What a horrible hat!" And then he looks over and some guy's wearing it. He's like, "Looks good on you though," and then makes this funny face. Got to say, Bill Murray, quite a disappointing character in it. I think he was in Stripes before this, and then obviously this Caddyshack, maybe a few other things. Let me know if you know any other earlier ones. Yeah, first thing I'd really not sure on the dates. Thinking Ghostbusters was before Groundhog Day, but yeah, Ghostbusters is the first role I seen him in it. He's really sort of got really good dialogue, really witty, delivers a lot of funny lines. Whereas in this, he just plays an idiot. He can barely speak. He's just doing weird things. He's just making stupid faces. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how he started out, and then they started giving him actual script and lines. But he was a bit of a Mr. Bean character in this. Yeah, I thought he was a bit disappointing. It's basically a gopher digging holes under the course. I was going to call it a pitch. I guess it's a course. There is actual golfing in it. Probably not as much as in Happy Gilmore, where you're actually seeing them play each other. It's more they're in the clubhouse. Funniest bit on this, there's a load of these sort of posh, older, retired people at a pool party, and then all these young kids basically turn up to raid the pool party, and they come running in, jump in the pool, splash the old people. But the bit that made me laugh the most, there's a rubber ring, and as the guy throws it, it lands over this old lady's head, spins around her neck, and she spins around and makes this angry face, and then someone shouts bomb, and they jump in the pool. But yeah, it's actually quite funny, quite well made. If you're not too into golf, then you're probably still like this. Other golf film I just thought of, I think it's called The Legend of Bagger Vance with Will Smith. Haven't seen it, but I remember Family Guy parodying it. Yeah, I mean, this is quite risque. I was kind of surprised it's a 15. There's some sex scenes that are quite intense. A lot of kind of vulgar humour. I would say it doesn't upset me, but I imagine nowadays it probably wouldn't get made, or at least bits would get cut out off of the TV because it is what you might call misogynistic or sexist, directed by Harold Ramis. I don't know if he's related to No, it's yeah. Is that Harold Ramis I'm thinking of? That was in Ghostbusters. I played Egon. There was something Ramis. Let me know if I'm wrong. Yeah, Chevy Chase is good in this. Like I say, quite a few funny bits. Quite risque. I remember when I was younger. I can't remember much about it, but watching like Animal House and what's the other one called? I think it had Chevy Chase in. It's basically this like fraternity house, and they're all like trying to get with women and stuff. And yeah, it seems that kind of raunchy style comedy from 1980. Yeah, it was an enjoyable watch, entertaining, quite funny. Give that a 7. But yeah, Bill Murray quite disappointing. I mean, it's not his fault. That was what he was given, to be like a Mr. Bean and just make funny noises and dribble a bit. And onto something very different now. This is a rental copy, but I did get this in a charity shop. I think it was free for £1. It's Fragile. So it's advertised as a horror, but I'd say it's a thriller. It's got elements of horror. I mean, it says on the front, bones will break, blood will flow, a shattering ghost story. Yeah, it's never that, never really scary. Yeah, it's got atmosphere. A good setup. I like the way it's set in like a children's hospital. So I like horror films set in hospitals. There's not too many of them. You've got Halloween 2. You've got Infection, which is like a Japanese horror film set in a hospital. The Void, some of that is set in a hospital. Let me know of any more, because yeah, there's probably a few. Visiting Hours, I think, might be one. I think some of... I can see it. I always forget the name of it. Dead and Buried might be in a hospital. There's like a girl paralysed in a hospital bed, but yeah, not seen too many set in hospital. So one set in a children's hospital makes it a bit creepier. As it says here, creaking along the dank, filthy corridors, metal rods piercing her skin down to her brittle bones. The creature the terrified children call a mechanical girl roams in the shadows, played by Callista Flockhart. It's a 15, contains strong language and supernatural threat. Yeah, the acting when they're like delivering, just talking, the dialogue was delivered well, but the scenes when they have to show some emotion. So yeah, she's quite good, apart from one bit when she's got to like scream and cry, and it didn't come across too well. So yeah, they're not bad actors. Yeah, I'd say they can deliver like normal lines and stuff, but I guess, when you've got to scream and try and pretend to be distraught, that's kind of the hard part of the emotional acting. But yeah, Callista Flockhart, the main character, can't really say I know Richard Roxburgh or Alina Anaya. I can't remember what characters they were in here. Directed by Julio Fernandez. Yeah, like I say, quite forgettable. Not too many bits I can remember. Even the bits when the woman in the mechanical girl, they call her, basically this woman in a metal wheelchair thing comes. It doesn't happen that often or long. Yeah, I'd say it's got like a good creepy atmosphere, a good setting. It doesn't really deliver on that too well. It's not boring, but it's slow. Like I say, the acting isn't brilliant, and just not a lot happens. If you want a slow burner with some good atmosphere, similar to Session 9, but not as well made, then yeah, I'd say Fragile. I'd give that a 6. This one, I spoke about this briefly when I showed my pickups video. I basically watched a few of these before I showed them. Well, I got them new. It's the Toxic Avenger Uncut. Yeah, I've seen the original, can't remember it that well, to tell you the truth, but didn't love it. But yeah, this I was quite disappointed with. So there's some really gory scenes, there's some good special effects, there's some pretty crazy bits, but for me, the style of the comedy just didn't land. They tried to make funny jokes, it didn't work. There was quite a few weird bits that took me out of the story. I think Peter Dinklage, I say I like him as an actor. The only thing I've really seen him in that he was good in is Game of Thrones. No pun intended, but giving him a big role. As you can see, he's only about 3 foot tall. I don't think it was his acting that didn't measure up to the role. It's just kind of like, why are you going to get Peter Dinklage, who obviously it's really him at the start before he slips into the nuclear toxic sludge, I guess you call it, and becomes mutated. You can tell it's him, but he isn't out of his makeup long enough to really make it worth being him. But once he's here dressed in this, anyone could have played that part. It's hardly like he's delivering like brilliant dialogue. If you had Denzel Washington playing extra, like we want him for the voice because he's known for doing his voiceovers and stuff. But yeah, I guess anyone could have played this other than Peter Dinklage. But also, yeah, obviously in the original, Toxic Avenger was like average height person, maybe 6 foot or something. Whereas it is weird having like only a 3 foot sort of toxic Avenger. Yeah, the other characters in it weren't that memorable. Let's see if I can see. Elijah Wood plays a sort of creepy role. Looks a bit like the Penguin from Batman with this like lank hair and just like a bit coming out here. Looks quite creepy, but he don't do that much. Same as Kevin Bacon. A few of the names like Jacob Tremblay, Taylor Page. I do know the actors, but can't say I really remember them in this. But yeah, for me, one-time watch. Had fun with it. I'll move it on now whilst it's still worth a bit of value. But yeah, not one I would watch again. Effects and that look good. A few of them looked a bit silly. I mean, this green mop, rather than being like a mop with like, what do you call them, like strings, bristles or something on, it all turns hard and it's got this bit of nuclear-like energy in the middle. When he hits people, they explode. Yeah, some good gore when he's like smacking people's jaws off and stuff. But yeah, storyline was silly. But yeah, for me, I think I said this the other day, but too many films just trying to put comedy in. It kind of works in this because of the style film it is. Whereas, if Marvel make a new Wolverine film, maybe, unless it's Deadpool, just maybe don't try with the comedy, especially when it's just falling flat and it's not landing. And yeah, that's what I felt about this, was kind of what sort of ruined it for me. Yeah, I couldn't really get on with the comedy, didn't like a lot of the script choices, didn't like some of the casting. Yeah, it just seemed a very weird film. Like I say, enjoyable one-time watch. I know some people really enjoyed this. I think Mickey from Skincrawlers got on with it. I think, was it Marcus from X-File 2708 might have seen it. I know somebody else, my friend Al Pearson, he watched it at the cinema and enjoyed it. But yeah, for me, kind of one and done, bit sort of silly, immature, kind of what you'd expect from that film. But I hoped it would vastly improve on the original and how that was kind of low budget and silly. But if I had to compare them, haven't seen the original in a long time, I'd probably say the original was better. Yeah, I'd give that a 5.5 out of 10. Still slightly better than average, and I didn't watch it and turn it off or think this is boring. Yeah, that's the main sin for me as a film being boring. It's not boring, but yeah, I just couldn't really get into it. Just the weird style of it. From quite a crap one onto an all-time classic of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest on 4K. So I did have this on DVD, upgraded it to 4K. I've never had the Blu-ray, so a big jump up in picture and sound quality. Obviously, it comes with a nice slipcase. I don't know if you can get like a big edition with this. I know with the Warriors that just come out, they've done like a sort of big box like this size, I think, for like £40 with all the book and extra bits and the ashtray, as Roy says. But then they've also just done the normal standard release. So yeah, I got this. I think it was $22.99, which is quite cheap for a 4K. Wasn't usually $24.99. But yeah, I don't know if you can get this in like a bigger kind of set. It might be worth it, as yeah, it is a classic film. Sure, everybody knows about this one, but yeah, picture and sound improvement, great acting, loads of sort of young actors before they became famous. It's quite harrowing bits. I won't sort of say what happens, but characters die and bad things happen to them. But yeah, there is some laughs and some more light-hearted bits that balance it out. Nurse Ratched really good in this. I always forget her name and then I have to look on the other version if I can find it. Something Fletcher? Louise Fletcher? Yeah, I remembered it without having to look. Yeah, she's good. Jack Nicholson, those two probably the standout. All the supporting cast are good. It's got some genuinely funny moments. Probably the best film set in a asylum, would you call it? A mental home? Don't know what they actually call it in here. Hospital for the criminally insane. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I could say about how some of them that are there, maybe they're not stuck there, but I don't want to give you spoilers. But yeah, I think it's Jack Nicholson before The Shining. Some of the bits when he's pretending to be insane to sort of wind up the doctor is really overacting, but in a good way. Bits when he's angry and stuff genuinely does come across as crazy. I guess in this, The Shining, quite a few of Jack Nicholson's most famous roles, he's playing quite an over-the-top, insane kind of person, to be fair. Yeah, it's well directed, great script. Yeah, I'd say it's an all-time classic. It is an 18, mental illness theme and emotionally intense scenes. 134 minutes or over 2 hours, but it did go along fast. Yeah, it's about a fifth time rewatch for me, but a first time on 4K, so I think I've seen it on my DVD copy, say, twice, and then on TV probably twice. Yeah, I think the first time I ever watched it, maybe it was on television, caught like the second half of it. Thought, wow, this seems a brilliant film. I'll have to pick it up on DVD. But yeah, I'd give that a 9. Close to a 10, like I've said in the past. Films like The Thing, Alien, Blade Runner, some of my favourites are kind of not just 10 because I enjoy them as a film, but obviously they've got some nostalgic value and things, so I might enjoy them more than other people who watch them for the first time, whereas, yeah, that would be close to like a 9.5, to be fair, on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think what else I gave a 9 to recently. Yeah, I think this year, I'll give it a 9.5, because, yeah, if I'm saying films like Parasite, 12 Angry Men, Unbreakable are like 10s, then yeah, I think that deserves to be a 9. Shadow Zone, I did speak about this briefly, another one with Louise Fletcher. Quite a weird coincidence, I got 2 films with her in on the same day. Kind of what you'd expect from a low-budget sci-fi horror from 88 Films. Comes with this really nice slipcase. Oh, I don't know if it has oh yeah, I'll quickly reverse this so you can see the reversible cover art. Yeah, I don't pick up all 88 Films releases, although I do collect 88 films. Some of the stuff they bring out isn't really my kind of thing. Maybe wouldn't have got this, but after I'd seen Bad Channels, which was like a sci-fi comedy, I would say, not really much horror. Yeah, so that's the reversed cover. Not really much horror in that. I did really enjoy that one. So once this came out in a similar, I won't grab it from down there, in a similar kind of packaging, similar kind of low budget, presented by Charles Band, it's on Full Moon Features. So a lot of like the Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Head of the Family. Yeah, it's quite a few which are like low budget and not great films, especially the later sequels in some of the franchises like the Doll Man and Ginger Dead Man and stuff. Whereas, yeah, I think some of these sort of 88 film sci-fi releases, some of the better ones, low budget but enjoyable. Obviously, they do a lot of like Japanese films and things, which I do pick up. Yeah, Louise Fletcher, the best part of this. Not really a role you'd expect to see her in. She does good in it, but yeah, I think she's better at saying this. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Flowers in the Attic, where she's playing like the evil matriarch, whereas here she's playing a bit like a crazy scientist. I don't know a lot of the backup cast and that, not gonna lie. Don't think I've seen much by J.S. Cardone, who directed it. David Beecroft, one of the main guys, is from Creepshow 2, not sure which segment. I mean, it's saying here, grand horror, sci-fi horror in the grand tradition of Alien and The Thing. Yeah, nowhere near as good as that. There are some really gruesome, gory special effects. I don't know if you can see that table there with like a chopped up corpse. But yeah, gorier than I expected. Yeah, doesn't skimp on like the sci-fi horror, but I'm not gonna lie, it's just not very memorable. I did watch this when I was a bit drunk, and I did decide to go back to, watch the last half or something, but I've not really had a chance. I don't think it's going to change my mind, because, yeah, when I spoke to somebody else about it, I think, again, it was my friend Al Pearson, he said it was very forgettable. Yeah, it's got highlights to it, just don't really remember them. But, yeah, as far as these, like, sci-fi B-movie, sort of low-budget horrors go, it's entertaining enough. I'd give it a 6. 6.5, I think, is fair. On to this, I have seen this lots of times when I was a kid, like a teenager. I had this on VHS and watched it, probably about 5 times, seen it on TV over the years, watched my DVD copy a few times, but basically upgraded this from the DVD copy as Predator 2 with Danny Glover. Yeah, obviously I've not seen the sequels of Predator, the original, so I can't say this is the best, but out of the ones I've seen, it's my favourite. Although a lot of people are saying Badlands is really good. Yeah, it's interesting how it goes from the jungle into the street. So from like a tropical jungle into a urban jungle. It's set in LA. You do get a few scenes when Predator's like up on top of the building, but I think they could have done a bit more. Bits, when they're kind of fighting in the like apartments and smash through a wall into like an old lady's bathroom. That bit's good inside the apartments, but yeah, I think they could have done a bit more of Predator not just standing on buildings, but maybe jumping and climbing, or a chase scene across rooftops. But yeah, it's satiating enough on the sort of LA rooftop action. Obviously not as good as the original Predator. The cast not as good. It's got Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Ruben Blades, Maria Conchita Alonso, Bill Paxton, Robert Davi. Bill Paxton quite insane in it. Gary Busey quite good, but yeah, Danny Glover, obviously the standout, the leading man, quite opposite to Arnie. How he looks a bit more like an everyman. Obviously he's got some muscles and things, but Arnie, or at least all the cast in Predator, about that kind of toxic masculinity. Danny Glover's like, just be a cop, get your head down and fight massive predator aliens without making too much fuss about it or having cigars and flexing your muscles. Don't think he really makes many punchliner kind of jokes like they do in the first one. There is one bit, when he takes his mask off and he says, "You're one ugly mother." That's sort of played out from part one. Contains strong language and violence. Doesn't say anything about gore. Yeah, it's not that gory. There's one bit actually where the Jamaican gang have got somebody hanging upside down. They like cut their heart out in like a voodoo ritual. It's quite gory. There's some pretty satisfying kills. I think he's got some new technology. The weapon, he throws like a frisbee kind of disc cutter that can come back to you. Obviously, not a spoiler to say, but there's a bit near the end when he gets on the alien ship. You see all these different skulls of different creatures that the predators have hunted, and you do see a xenomorph skull. So I remember seeing that as a kid and was like, right, Aliens versus Predator probably coming out next year. And then it took, I don't know, like 20 years or so. This is 1990, so yeah, same year as Caddyshack, but a very different kind of film. Yeah, it is very 90s, directed by Stephen Hopkins, 107 minutes. Yeah, I will say, it's still entertaining, but some of the stories surrounding the bits when there's not Predator and when you're seeing the gangs and bits of LA, I wouldn't say it's low budget, but yeah, it's not as well made as the original Predator. It's the action scenes and that kind of make up for it, whereas there's some scenes in the original Predator when they're just having banter in the jungle or when they're fighting the gorillas, or even before the Predator shows up when they're just trekking through the jungle. Has a lot better sort of dialogue and characters you kind of not just care about, but are kind of cool characters, whereas this, other than Danny Glover, and you're not too invested in him. I'd say main film overall, not quite as good as I remembered it when I was younger. Not as well made, but still an entertaining film. So I'd give that a 7. Predator 2. This one a lot better. Paul Verhoeven film, Starship Troopers. So other than RoboCop, this is probably my favourite. I think it used to be RoboCop, then Total Recall, then probably this, and then is it Basic Instinct? I want to say no. Sorry, I've got another one. I'm just trying to remember the name. Can't see it down there. The one with Glenn. Fatal Attraction. Pretty sure he did, which is quite different for him because Starship Troopers, RoboCop, and Total Recall are not only sci-fi, but they've got a lot of that satire and a lot of sort of jokes of like capitalism and corporate spending, and this very similar, maybe even more satire than RoboCop. So a lot of the satire in RoboCop is about like consumerism and advertising, showing these things on telly like I buy that for $1, whereas the satire of this is a lot about the army and again corporate capitalism and corporization, is that the right word? Or basically just sending these people to their deaths and things. But the way it's all played out as an advert where it's recruiting, it shows like an 8-year-old kid with a gun. It is quite funny. It's quite a long film. See if I can find a running time. I know it's over 2 hours. Seen one on the other day, 130 minutes. So 2 hours 10. First time I watched this, when it first came onto TV when I was about 15, I'm guessing. Really enjoyed it. Watched it again rewatched probably about 10 years ago. Did find it a bit long. Not boring, but it did feel long and wasn't always the most entertaining. Whereas on this rewatch, entertained me a lot more. It didn't drag. So a lot of the special effects still really stand up. Casper Van Dien's good in it. Dina Meyer. Denise Richards looks really nice. Jake Busey, so we went for one with Gareth... Sorry, I just looking at another name then trying to read that. We went from Gary Busey to Jake Busey in 2 films. Neil Patrick Harris, really good in this when he's young. He went on to be in Lemony Snicket's The Series. I think he was Doogie Howser. He was in American Horror Story Freak Show. This is like ventriloquist. But yeah, he's good in this. Patrick Muldoon. Michael Ironside plays like the kind of captain. But yeah, it's quite a lot of, as it says, 18 contains strong bloody violence. Quite a lot of gore. Quite a lot of funny bits. A lot of like camaraderie when they like get their tattoos just before they go into battle. There's like love interest. You've got the romance side. Some really epic set pieces. Yeah, I can't think of many sort of sci-fi. I wouldn't say it's a sci-fi horror, but it does have gore. I can't think of many sci-fi films that have this much action and this much gore of like people fighting aliens. Yeah, it's obviously got more soldier versus alien fighting than like Independence Day, Mars Attack, stuff like that. Yeah, I'd give that an 8 out of 10. Did enjoy the rewatch of Starship Troopers. Yeah, kind of went in not expecting to be bored, but from the previous viewing when I found it a bit slow and dragged out, I was kind of like, oh, I'll watch it, but maybe I'll be, looking on my phone halfway through. But no, it did actually completely draw me in and enveloped me to the plot. Is that the right way of saying it? Right, the next one. I think this is quite an underrated one. I think there is 3 of these, like a trilogy. Don't think they've ever been upgraded onto Blu-ray or DVD unless there's like an import version. But yeah, I think they're underrated horror films. I have seen part 2 years ago, but don't own it. Haven't seen part 3, but yeah, I do remember a box set kicking around, but it's Feast. I've only got this on DVD because, like I say, let me know if there is a Blu-ray or a 4K. Maybe they're out of print. Never seen them around. From executive producers Wes Craven, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Chris Moore, starring Henry Rollins and Balthazar Getty. So yeah, it's a lot of money's gone behind it with those producers. They're hungry or dinner. 18 contains strong bloody violence and gore. 83 minutes, so quite a short film. Yeah, always entertaining, flies along. I'll read the synopsis of this. I've only got a few to show after this. So when a motley crew of strangers find themselves trapped in an isolated tavern, they must band together in a battle for survival against a family of flesh-hungry creatures. Terrifying and full of surprises, Feast turns the screen blood red as the group is devoured one by one. Directed by John Gulager. The ensemble cast of rising stars includes Balthazar Getty from Alias, Henry Rollins from The Henry Rollins Show, Navi Rawat from The OC, Josh Zuckerman from Surviving Christmas, Jason Mewes from Clerks 2, and Jenny Wade from Rumour Has It. Can't remember Jason Mewes being in this. He must play like a kind of more, obviously a comedy role, I'm guessing, as he usually does. And I do remember kind of like a stonery kind of guy. I'm guessing that was him. Directed by John Gulager. Remember the first time I watched it, I'd heard good things, but wait, must have been like 16 years ago. Watched it expecting it to be an okay kind of B-movie creature feature, but no, I was like really impressed the first time I watched it. Watched it a few times over the years. It still stays entertaining. It doesn't, no sort of plot twists or whatever that gets worse with repeated viewings. It's quite a few funny bits, quite a few funny comedy sort of moments in the script, I'd say. The script's not as good as a Quentin Tarantino script, but it feels that kind of style where the characters are set up, they've got their own personalities and sort of joke styles, but the actual way they're trapped in the tavern, and they can't leave, kind of reminds me of From Dusk Till Dawn, but rather than vampires, it's these weird, kind of see them on the front, it doesn't spoil it to when you really see them. It does subvert expectations a lot, so there's one bit, not really a spoiler to say because it's quite near the start, some bloke comes in, you think he's the hero, he's got like a shotgun, he's like, oh, I'm going to save the day, and then as soon as he stands by a window, he gets pulled out one and killed. But yeah, as a character, it's not too comic booky style, but as the characters come, it will come up with a little thing above their head, saying like John, the hero, might die tonight, and then it come up with a female character saying, I don't know, Lisa, the bartender, will she survive another week, and sort of stuff like that. So yeah, it does sort of not only set up the characters, but kind of subvert the expectations of where, it comes in, sets him up as a hero, and then he dies in 30 seconds. This one is one a lady at work gave me a while ago. I've only just got round to watching it. I did tell her when she gave it to me, she's like, right, you better watch it this weekend. I want to know how you got on with it. I was like, it's October, so I'm kind of mostly watching horror films through Halloween. I was like, also, I've got a backlog of films to watch. They don't just go straight to the top of the pile. So I don't know if she'll be watching this, but yeah, if you are, I have watched Overboard. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, directed by Gary Marshall. PG, contains mild language and sex references. It's like a comedy. I guess it's a kind of rom-com, but it's kind of the opposite to romantic, really. I don't think there's a spoiler to say that almost as soon as it starts, Goldie Hawn, she looks good once she's in her normal self, but when he first meets her, she's like a kind of rich woman, and she's like very eccentric and like spoiled and things in that kind of dress. And yeah, she looks really nice when she's like done up like that. But yeah, kind of weird that basically she gets amnesia, and then Kurt Russell's character is like, right, I need someone to help look after my kids. So he tricks her into thinking she's his wife and like the mum of his kids, which is not only very creepy, not only giving himself a love interest, and some woman thinks, oh, I used to be married to him, so I'm guessing we can carry on with their romance stuff that they'd never done before, but she didn't know. And then, yeah, she's doing all this work, looking after the kids. He's a really bad dad. He's basically like, right, I'm going out for a drink with the guys every single night. You're going to stay in and look after my kids. The kids are naughty. They're breaking stuff. He's not really trained them. I say train them. I guess they're not cats. Not brought them up correctly and instilled discipline in them. So they'll just be messing around, and she's got to like pick up the pieces. Yeah, I know when Stuart and a few other people watched this, they did find it funny, whereas I know Roy did say he kind of found it quite creepy. You can look at it as a horror film, where he's basically, or at least a thriller, where he's pretending to like he knows her and working on her amnesia, and then, not really a spoiler to say, it's going to be obvious, but partway through the film she finds out she's not really his wife, and she's looking and like, why are there no photos of us from 10 years ago? And he makes an answer to it, and then it's like, I think she meets someone from his family, and because obviously he's got the kids to go along with it, pretending she's the mum. But yeah, basically she finds out, and obviously she's angry. But yeah, quite creepy, really. I think that Kurt Russell not only does that to her, but doesn't even ever seem to feel guilty. The one thing, if you had like grown-up kids and you're like, oh, you can be the wife, you've just got to talk to them on the phone once a week. But yeah, they're like 3 or 4 of these boys, and they're naughty. So to a certain extent, he kind of uses her as a slave and that to look after his kids more than anything. That he loves her and he wants a romantic relationship with her. There's not actually as much on the boat as I thought there would be. I thought most of it was going to be set on a boat, being this is called Overboard. Yeah, it was quite funny, made me laugh a few times. I do like Goldie Hawn in quite a few things. Say she's not as good in here as she is in Death Becomes Her. Kurt Russell, I wouldn't say it's one of his better films. Obviously not as good as The Thing, probably on a level acting and joke-wise as he is in like Tango and Cash. Yeah, entertaining. One I will keep and watch again. Kind of funny, like Sunday afternoon kind of comedy. I would give that a 7 out of 10, Overboard. Yeah, a bit different to what I expected it to be. I thought it'd be more set on a boat, not going to lie. This one, people would have seen me pick it up recently. Have watched this a lot of times. So this is the Ace Ventura Part 1 and 2, Pet Detective on When Nature Calls. I have seen them both before. Only watched Nature Calls a few times, whereas I watched Pet Detective, let's say, 6 times or more. But this time I watched Pet Detective. So I watched this with my friend. He came around. We'd had a few drinks and things. So we went for a comedy. Yeah, not going to lie. Some of it is a bit silly. Some of the bits when I was a kid and he'd say that like "Lahu Zahur" kind of thing, we'd all think that was iconic and he was really cool. And we didn't so think some of the quotes were funny, but yeah, the quotes back in the day were like cutting edge. Whereas you see a few of the quotes now, it doesn't like take you out of the film, but a few of them I'm kind of like, that doesn't stand up as well today as it did when I was a 15-year-old kid and we watched it 25 years ago, which is probably the same, 26 years ago, probably the same as a lot of these kind of comedies from that time. But yeah, Jim Carrey really good in it. There's one bit when he literally makes about 100 different faces in like 6 seconds. He just does like the gamut of every single face he knows when he does this shot bit. Loads of really good dialogue. A lot of the jokes are like slapstick and him jumping around doing silly things. A lot of the jokes are from dialogue, but my favourite bit is when this horrible guy stamps on the cockroach and then he embarrasses him in front of everybody. Bit when he solves the crime where he thinks someone's been thrown off the balcony, and when he opens the door you can hear him screaming, and then when he closes you can't. He's going, oh, like that. And then he's like, oh, so basically they were thrown off the balcony and then the door was shut behind them. And yeah, he's meant to be just this pet detective, but he's a better detective than the actual police detective. There's a bit where, it's not a spoiler to say, there's a police lady in this that turns out to be a man. Once he's kissed her, he's like scrubbing his tongue in the shower. I don't think that would fly anymore nowadays. They haven't cut it out at least, but I think if they did re-show it at the cinema or re-release it on, say, Disney, they'd probably cut it out because it'd be classed as transphobic. I did forget Courtney Cox was in this. It looks really good in it. Probably slightly before Friends, I'm guessing, 1993. But yeah, she looks really nice in it. Still looks nice now, but yeah, obviously 25 years ago she looked better. Directed by Steve Odekirk. 86 minutes long, only at 12. There's quite a few quite raunchy scenes. One bit when he saves this woman's dog, and I'm not going to say too much what happens, but he's hanging on to like the light and she's like going wild. It only suggests things more than shows it, but yeah, I would have thought it was more 15 than a 12 because there are a few kind of raunchy scenes, not with nudity, but it does imply certain sexual things are going on. Scenes, yeah, where he sort of talks to all the animals and they all come running out. Obviously, he's saving them. He's got loads of quotables, some quite insane bits. Best bit acting-wise is probably when he goes to the sort of, what do you call it, like a mental home, gets himself signed in, and then to prove that he went insane, there's a bit when he does a slow motion of him like catching this American football and getting fouled, and then he plays it all in reverse, and yeah, that bit when he's like doing it in slow motion backwards is really clever. But yeah, sure, everybody knows Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I'll stop going on about it. I know Sammy G from Sammy G's World of Cinema has been on a Jim Carrey hype recently. Watched that one. I think Sam gave that a 7. 7.5. I'll give it 7.5. Yeah, one of the better Jim Carrey films, probably in my top 10 if I ever get to doing that ranking since I spoiled it. Right, I'll be quick on this one because yeah, I hope they keep it under 30, but it's now almost 37, so at least if I can keep it under 40. The last one was 55 minutes, so shaved like 15 minutes off. That's still in the player. It's The Conjuring 4. It's well made. Again, it was quite, I wouldn't say forgettable, but there weren't too many highlights compared to part 1 and 2. Nowhere near on the level. Yeah, part 3 and 4 do drop off. I thought this is a bit more memorable than part 4. Some quite good like relationship development and things. Yeah, I'd say this is more about their daughter. Does it tell me her name? I'm guessing it's Mia Tomlinson that plays her. But yeah, she's the daughter of the Warrens. It goes a lot more into her story, and she's got some like psychic abilities. The kind of ghosts or demons, I guess. Not really a spoiler to say. Don't see them that often, but they do look quite creepy. Unlike part 3, where I can't really remember the protagonist, or I think because it's called The Devil made me do it, someone's like possessing a normal human and getting them to kill, maybe. Whereas in this, there's like an old lady with like an evil grin. It's kind of one of the like entities, I'll say. She's quite creepy. And then it's like a kind of male version. First of all, when he shows up, he does look a bit like, if anybody remembers the long-haired ghost that after the first Insidious. And he's kind of like pacing around the room, and he's just this big sort of guy with like long dark hair. I thought it was him, because I don't know if the Insidious and the Conjuring worlds are connected in any way, whereas obviously they are originally directed by James Wan. They're kind of from the same universe, but I guess Patrick Wilson is in both of them as a different family character. So yeah, I guess they're not connected. I've just answered my own question. I'm pretty sure the young guy in this, the boyfriend of their daughter, I'm guessing he's called Ben Hardy. Pretty sure, literally over 10 years ago, I've never really been into the soaps, but when I've gone up my mum's house for dinner or whatever, she'll be watching them. I'm pretty sure if you can just see him there, if I can move my shiny head so there's no glare. Basically, the young love interest, can't remember his name in it, with blonde hair. Pretty sure he played Peter Beale in EastEnders. Let me know if you know much about EastEnders. I'm sure a lot of these people watching the movie, content creators, or especially ones with a lot of horror films in, probably aren't fans of EastEnders. I think Ollie is a fan of this, but I don't. A fan of EastEnders, but I don't think he'll be watching this. But yeah, pretty sure he was in EastEnders, and I think he went into one of the X-Men films. So yeah, fair play to him, because I don't think he seemed that great when I watched him in EastEnders. To go on to like these Hollywood films like 10 or so years later, both of these really good in it. It's a bit kind of where it shows them when they're younger, and it's got two different actors playing them. The guy playing, Patrick Wilson's part, Ed Warren, still does really look like Patrick Wilson, just younger, whereas the woman playing Viga Farmiga Vera Farmiga, sorry, doesn't really look like her. They could have got the younger sister. What's her sister's name? She's out of quite a few good films. Let's just say the Farmiga sister. Yeah, maybe she could have played her because she's like 10 or so years younger. But yeah, it's a well-made enough film. Entertaining whilst I watched it, but not one I can remember too much about. Not really that scary. Probably not one I'll go back to watch very often. 135 minutes, so a bit long. I think being over 2 hours did outstay its welcome slightly. Yeah, it was never boring, never dragged, but a lot of setting up the characters and the personalities more than the horror. Was a few horror bits, but yeah, not like the original Conjuring 1 or 2 where not only has some iconic jump scares, but there's certain bits like with the nun or the bit when the Bathsheba, is she called? Jumps down off the top of the cabinet. Yeah, some like really iconic scares that will go down, I think. Some might be in the list of people's like top 10 jump scares of the last like 30 years. Whereas, yeah, I didn't think any of these really got me that bad. It's well enough made, but yeah, kind of a bit generic and forgettable, unfortunately, I would say. Probably will keep it just so I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the collection. And yeah, I think I did enjoy it more than The Devil Made Me Do It. So yeah, I'd give that a 6.5. One I will watch again in the future. Might grow on me. There's been some films, I've watched, thought they were quite meh. Watched them again like 10 years later and been like, wow, that's a brilliant film. How has my perception changed that much? But yeah, that's everything I've watched, let's say, in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, 13 films. Kept this video a bit shorter than some of my usual fodder. Just having a look over here, what else I've got. So even though I only get paid in like 2 days' time, I'm working a few days straight, so it's probably, going to be a week or so until I can actually get into HMV and CEX to pick up some more films. So probably be a week till I do the next haul video. At least a week, if not 10 days, 2 weeks, until I do the next recent watches. Obviously, I've got to get some more stuff watched till I've got a video to do. So yeah, not sure what the next video will be or how long until it comes out, but maybe I'll come back and surprise people with something. If I win the lottery tonight, then I'll go on a massive spending spree, quit work, and I'll do a video showing 100 different Blu-rays and 4Ks, maybe some DVDs, or I guess you don't have to really buy too many of them if you've won 180 million on the Euro Millions. That's not even tonight, so it's not going to happen, but hopefully it was entertaining enough. Any questions or anything, comment down below, or any insights into these films. I know I did ask a few films, like, does anybody know another film with a certain actor in? I can't remember already. I go on autopilot mode and just let my brain talk. I might not always be for the best. And yeah, like I say, go and check out Hills on the Hunt. Really good new channel. I watch all of it. I don't always comment. I've said this a few times, but if I'm watching a video on my phone, then it's quite easy to comment, where sometimes I watch them on the big TV in the front room for the PS5. So I watch like one of Sammy G's hour-long videos on there. Then you've got to use the controller to go onto the keyboard, and it's just an absolute faff. So yeah, but even if I don't comment, I do watch his videos. And yeah, I think a lot of other people should get him up to 100 subscribers. Really interesting new YouTube. I say new, maybe he's gone away and come back, but yeah, it doesn't seem he's been doing it that long, and good taste into a lot of the same horrors and film genre films as me. So yeah, shout out to Hills on the Hunt. I will link the people down below that I've mentioned. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.